Hi, I'm Leisa. I'm a clinical psychologist in Sydney, and I wanted to bring you a word of encouragement about the balance between self-care and self-sacrifice. Today, I want to talk about, as I said, this balance between looking after ourselves and the hard work that's involved in ministry. So we're going to look at these four aspects and especially about keeping a balance between the middle two, between the self-care and self-sacrifice, while not sliding into comfort in the wrong things or into burnout. So let's start with looking at healthy self-care. Now, I know that you know the theory of self-care. We all do, don't we? You know about these 5 things: exercise, diet, getting good support, having rest, and having time with God. And so today, I do want to motivate us a little bit about doing these things, but I also really want us to be able to reflect on what gets in the way. If you know you should be doing these things more and you're not, what is getting in the way? Are they in your diary? Are you accountable to someone for them, for example? And maybe you've got some unhelpful self-talk going on. Maybe you're good at coming up with excuses. It's easy, isn't it? The alarm goes off, ready for exercise at 6 in the morning, and into your mind pops in, I think I'm too tired, didn't sleep too well, and suddenly the exercise is gone. So that might be the thing that's getting in the way. So I'd really encourage you at the end of these 5 points to stop and reflect yourself or with your work team about what's getting in the way for you. I'm going to add in a little bit about the neuroscience of self-care and of self-sacrifice, because for some people just knowing that mechanism is quite motivating. The first one is exercise. And for mental health, the recommended time is 5 hours a week. Now that's quite a lot, isn't it? That's 5 days a week, an hour a day. It's a fair amount. And the other distinctive thing for mental health, for exercise for mental health, is that it really needs to be intentional. So you're actually engaged, mentally engaged in what you're doing. So if you have to walk for half an hour mindlessly in a day, that doesn't count as half of your hour for that day. It has to be, no, I'm going now for a swim or a paddle or a jog, and I'm really focused that this is my time of nurture and replenishment. And it's fairly recent research that has found that you really need this aspect for the exercise to help your mental health. Now, I'm sure you also know that exercise lowers your cortisol level, which is your stress hormone, and it's really effective for depression, anxiety, insomnia. It helps all of those. Just don't exercise late at night or late in the afternoon if you've got insomnia. But the other thing that it does is it creates whole new neurons in your brain. There's not any other way that we know that you can do this. So if you're trying to keep sharp, prevent dementia, it's also a really good tool for that. Now, you already know that we need to exercise. So the question for you for after is, what's getting in the way? Is it in your diary? I know for me, it's in my diary and everything else has to work around it. How are you going with that? The second piece is diet. Protein, eggs, fish, meat, vegetables, fruit, healthy fats are meant to be the basis of our diet. Did you know that 95% of your neurotransmitters are created in your gut? So things like serotonin and dopamine, the very things which, if you're on antidepressants or anti-anxiety medication, that's what you're fiddling with in your brain. They're made in your gut. So having a healthy gut, which is largely determined by what you eat, is crucial for your mental health. One of the biggest culprits here, tragically, is sugar and also flour. Flour just breaks down into sugar. So if you have a diet high in sugar, it actually elevates all the bad bacteria in your gut. It decreases the good bacteria. It causes a thing called gut dysbiosis, where your gut is just not functioning very well. So can't create the right balance of neurotransmitters. And as you can tell, that's going to have a really big impact on your mental health. Too much sugar that's breaking down in your gut also causes a lot of aches and pains and inflammation, can impact impact anxiety, can impact brain fog. So we think of diet as mainly for our physical health, don't we? But it actually is really very important for mental health as part of self-care. The Deakin University website called the Food and Mood Institute in Victoria is a great one to look at if you're interested in research here. And an American nutritional psychiatrist called Georgia Eady has also a great website if you're interested in understanding more about all of this. So the third aspect of healthy self-care is support, emotional support. Ideally from someone who's not within your church or your family. Within our church and family tend to be great relationships, but also the most stressful relationships. So it's better to have someone from outside that emotional system who is your support. So do you have a mentor you're meeting regularly with, or just a friend who you trust, who you can share what's going on with, or a formal supervision? It's actually really important. One of the things that happens when we have someone supportive to talk through is we turn our emotions into words. Now that might sound really basic, but what happens when you have to articulate how you're feeling, what the activity changes from the back of your brain, which is your limbic system where the emotions are being generated, and it shifts to the front of your brain here, which is your prefrontal cortex. Now that is where you've got good problem-solving skills. You can see the big picture of life. You can be calm and rational. So every time you're forced to put your feelings into words to express to someone, it helps you process it and problem solve whatever's going on. Of course, you could do that for a journal. That's helpful as well. But the added benefit of actually speaking to someone is you also get oxytocin release. Now, oxytocin is an interesting hormone. It's called the tend and befriend hormone. And whenever we're in a deep relationship with someone, male and female, it gets released. And it is in a reciprocal relationship with your stress hormone, with cortisol. So if you're chatting to someone that you know is supportive, you're sharing how you're going, your oxytocin gets released. By definition, your stress hormones are dropping. So you've got this dual thing going on of your prefrontal cortex and your oxytocin. Now, we know that talking to people, being in supportive relationships is good for us. It's just interesting to know what's going on behind the scenes. The fourth thing is being in nature, having rest, getting outside of your work to do hobbies. And again, you know this is important, but what's getting in the way? Are these things programmed into your life? Are they in the diary? How well do you guard your day off? There's been a heap of research, ironically, while we've all been in lockdown, on the benefits of getting away into nature, getting out of a city, getting into or even just a park, and how crucial that is for our mental health. Even Jesus said to his disciples in Mark 6, "Come away by yourselves to a quiet place and rest for a while." If he had to do it and they had to do it, we certainly need to do it. So what's getting in the way? The last one is time with God. Again, you know it, I know it, how important it is for any believer to spend time with God. An interesting warning that Jesus gives the church in Ephesus in Revelation 2, and he says that they have forsaken the love they had at first. They're all very busy, but they'd forsaken that first love. And so crucial for us to keep going, doing the pouring out of our lives that happens in ministry, to keep that first love active. What do you need to do to spend time with God? Again, are you accountable to someone for that? Is it in your diary? What's getting in the way?